I receive a lot of messages and comments and questions and requests for help with spiritual attacks or negative spiritual influence or influence from another dimensional species, force, demonic, however we're going to label it. And I say that at the beginning because part and parcel of having the capacity to deal with these issues as a human is that we must understand the difference between reality and words. And this sounds simple, but it's not. Humans, majority, don't know the difference. When I look and point to this and say tree, the word tree points to this, but what this actually is a crash and a rising of colour and organic matter and consciousness doing that. Tree is a label to point at that doing. Tree can conjure an image inside our mind. And it's likewise when you deal with these topics. Someone can say demon, someone can say higher dimensional force, someone may say alien, someone may say spirit. The words are pointing to an arising inside consciousness of something negatively influencing a human away from their best self and into what always leads to suffering, into the pursuit of things that will lead to suffering and not a wholeness, a contentment, a joy and a peace. Words and reality are desperately important within this, because within inside there as well to fight this, to know this. This video is not for entertainment. This is to help you with a very real problem in the world, in your life, in the lives of your loved ones. A very real problem. Inside a human, we have an image of who we are. But the human organism, if I were to switch off the image part of your brain and the thought part of your brain, if I were to switch that off completely, the human organism would continue. The human organism would still be going, it's only you would not now be holding on in your awareness to the image of who you are. And if you are not holding on in your awareness to the image of who you are, but the human organism is still going, then is the image really you if the organism is still alive? And this is important. The separation between those two within inside this topic is very, very important. The reason it is so important is because this is a battle of vibration. This is a vibrational problem. The higher your vibration as a being, the height of vibration, you can't be influenced, attacked, possessed, tempted by, whispered to. You can't be misdirected by these entities, these spiritual attacks, when you are in your highest completion. You can't be. There's too much joy, contentment, that their vibratory field can't match your own. It's not possible. That presence of God's state has dominion over that. That said, there is an issue as well that you can raise vibration and call on higher forces. We can, for this video, label them the fallen ones. They have been labelled fallen angels, demons, aliens, higher dimensional species, whatever. We'll call them the fallen ones. The fallen ones can still resonate in a higher frequency than what humans can at their lowest. That's why they have dominion over humans and their lives. The problem is humans live as if persons like myself have this as a belief system. This is not a belief system, this is a reality that we are living in. And it's a reality that can be seen by all if they come to the truth of seeing reality, not the thoughts and the words and the labels and the images they have of reality inside of themselves. Having lived in Africa, in Tanzania, there is a great problem, to get personal, with witch doctors. The children in our care are protected because witch doctors want to kill them. Witch doctors like to maim them. Our children who have special needs and albino children face the same problem. I know that these witch doctors, they fast. And here's a conundrum for people. They fast and they pray. Beyond there, I know of churches in Tanzania who claim to be churches, who fast and pray in the name of Jesus to do wrong to other people, to harm them. They pray for bad things to happen as a congregation, and they believe in the delusional state they are in, that they are praying for the love and the master of love that was Jesus in that image form. But they are praying for wrongdoing to happen to people. They want injury and pain on people, and they pray to God for that. They believe they're praying to Jesus. They are not. They are still accessing a higher vibration because sadly sometimes these persons have success. So you face this problem as humans in modern day society, where you hear people with these experiences. I meditated and I became possessed, and I had to turn to the teachings of Jesus. The moral behavior, activity of the human is vibrational, and this is not fundamentalism. This is not a fundamentalist belief. The activity of the human is vibrational within inside the spiritual law of the metaphysics and the environment that we live in. When persons are continuing in behavior which goes outside of that alignment law, the alignment with the one true source, and then participate in moving into higher vibrational states, into higher frequencies, they can access the wrong realm because they don't go high enough, and they can become filled with the wrong energy. And they become filled because the foundations of their activities they have no moral compass for, and they don't know. And so they fall back to the moral teaching of someone like Jesus, and all of a sudden it's better for them. Because now within inside their life they are not perpetuating the activities that make them vibrate, so as when they elevate in vibration they go to the wrong realm or give access to the wrong realm. They go straight above that, which is a human capacity. We can raise higher in our vibration than these entities that oppress us. It's a human strength. If your activities in the world, not in a fundamentalist sense, are not in line with that, in that morality, you will not. And this is why. Because this is a system of alignment and balance that you live within. If you are coming home because you feel out of alignment, you don't feel full of joy, contentment and wholeness with your life, what you need to do is start a fast, start praying, meditating to find the alignment. But what persons do is, because they feel uncomfortable, is they now move into the pleasure trap. And they grab the laptop and they look at some naughty films, or they go to the fridge and they start overeating, or they go and they get drunk. Persons start to consume, not to maintain their space within the alignment of the environment and the metaphysical environment and the field of consciousness that they are in. The narrow way, as many know it. Instead of consuming to remain there in alignment with your joy and your happiness, you begin to take from the energy of the world, from other people. If you are using pornography as I exampled, you are taking from the other persons and their suffering. You may be taking lots from the environment that you don't need to, and it throws you out of alignment. This fundamentalist notion of sin, the perpetual chasing of pleasure in the world, is aligned with a spiritual law. You're separating from alignment because you're consuming for something more than to stay aligned. Sadly, the majority of humans have become so misaligned that they have become amnesic of alignment. And so the pursuit of pleasure in the world is all they know, because their natural state is not one of joy and wholeness and fulfillment. It's one of torment and suffering and difficulty and anxiety. And so that leaves you craving something, and you try to satiate that craving with pleasure. And persons delve off into the pleasure, and they forget that this alignment exists. This matters because in alignment you are in a vibratory state where these lower entities that have fallen for the same trap cannot access you. If you are in the highest vibration, they can't access you. When you are in the world trap, remember, it is said the god of this world is Satan. If we use these old terms, the energy of contraction and consumption of worldly, to try and find your centered alignment through that, this vibration is low. And at that vibratory level, you can be accessed by the lower entities. And those entities, just as the same state of energy that you are in, having become separated from alignment, they now are fulfilling their separation through you. And so they will also do everything in their power to stop you from going back to alignment, because they need their pleasure and they're getting it through influencing you now. And so you have played into each other's lives. When a person is amnesic of the joy of life, the joy of life being that you can sit here and now and be at absolute peace with the wonder of it all, without wanting to grab your phone and scroll, without wanting to run off and go to the bar and party. All of these things can have a space, but not if it's coming because you are searching for alignment. Not if it's coming from whole, fulfilled joy. I wish to check out this person that I know online. Wonderful. If it's coming from, I feel uncomfortable, I can't sit here any longer, let me scroll. There's a big difference between these two energies as a person. When you don't feel the joy and contentment, you will be led into these lower vibratory senses. The longer you stay there, if you sit still now, alone in nature, you have that anxiety, that desire to go to things, which is the pull of addiction. You need to do something quite drastic to overcome that, because you need to get back into your alignment. Back into your alignment will require a fast, meditation, prayer, a long walk in nature on an empty stomach. It will require effort, because you have separated so much from alignment by consuming outside of your share inside the metaphysical environment that you live within, that you need to get realigned with it. It's a spiritual law, it's not fundamentalism. Sin is not a fundamentalist teaching. The sin of the flesh is a dragging away from the alignment with the best version of you and Source and God, the presence of God. I visualize a white sphere, shield of energy around me. And when I'm in presence and I'm whole and joyous, I know it's complete. When I feel complete, my senses are alert to the moment, and just as if I switched off your thoughts and your image-making capacity, you would be left, and your brain would be able to be governed and directed by the Spirit which dwells in the nowness, the presence of God which dwells in the nowness. And you would be able to be directed to a more wholesome life. When I hear a different voice and it says, just overeat, or, let's just binge watch something because I've had a bad day, it's at that time that you have an immediate battle to start internally to protect yourself. You can either follow that voice and you can go into the world and get more unaligned and disaligned, or you can quickly, which is the easiest path, go back to alignment by fasting or heading out into nature and getting some prayer time in. The more sensitive you come to that sphere being whole, the easier it is to maintain it. Because as it begins to flicker and shake, as the frequency drops, and you hear the other voice, which is not leading you to your highest good, it's very evident by the things it suggests that you do. The pursuit of pleasure normally is its suggestion. The flesh is always suggesting pleasure. It's easier to return. If you come very far away from that sphere and you get very separated from it, it requires a little more effort. Something like a long fast, something like a deep prayer cycle, something like a deep meditation, something like a very long walk in nature. Because you have come further away from alignment, it takes a larger, more strenuous effort to get into alignment. This is spiritual warfare because alignment and presence keeps you in the highest vibration where you can't be attacked. Now, if you are falling away from there and you are being dragged away, your job now is to return to alignment. And yes, there are persons in the world who can help you to take these things off you. It's true. But the reason they can is through no skill of a person that you perceive, that you see. It's through their emptiness. It's through the human organism being free of an image of self and being present, and from there becoming a pure channel for the spirit to come into this world, where that spirit of that highest vibration can remove these things. And without any fear or any concern, it knows its power. If you are living with a self-conjured image of yourself, you are blocking that from coming through. If you look very slowly at what I'm saying, what leads you astray? What leads you to not forgive and pollute your own heart? What leads you to be angry and go into these lower vibrations? The image you hold of yourself contains within it the reasons that you have not forgiven persons and the reasons that you will not wholly love people here and now because of memories of your pains and your hurts. That's all part of the image you hold of yourself. The image you hold of yourself has conditions on its love with persons around it based on relationship, and so it does not feel to send that love to a stranger on the street. The image. The image of yourself has habits that it pursues and has pursued for a long time and has created ruts in its brain for consciousness to come in and run into those habits, good and bad. The image of yourself holds the wounds where addiction is born. The thoughts that come to your mind from the image of yourself and the self-narrative are what lead you to do things you should not and bring you out of alignment. If I disabled your thoughts and disabled the image inside you of who you are, how can you be misled away from the godly life? How can you be misled away from your wholeness in this full life if all you are now is an antenna of the presence, here and now, and your activities are not misaligned and therefore not taking more than your share from the energy around you? You can only then be a being that is living out the will of something higher and beautiful, love, compassion. When thought begins and the image of who you are begins, the narrative starts. I've had a bad day and so therefore I deserve this. I deserve to do it. I deserve to manipulate that person because, as many people do, they chase girls and boys. They say anything to get one another into bed. I know, I was a young man once. This is how it is. It comes from the image. And this is a very important teaching. Because persons say you will cast out and drive out demons. It's true, you will. But you will do it when you are truly reborn. And when you are truly reborn, you are a human organism that is free of everything that was born of the womb and the identity you picked up from the world within there and the image. And that doesn't have to last all day. We will go back to our carnality. But it will last for at least a while, sometimes during the day, and then you won't lose track of the reality of who you are in your sovereign power. Beyond there, Sometimes you will fall into your carnality, into your dual vision of the world. You will. We all do. And if you want to stay shielded from this, you need to make right choices inside that dual self, because there is the duality of the world going on. If you do fall into it, imagine this. You have two spheres on either side of you. A white sphere filled with love in the angelic realm and white clouds and blue skies and beauty. And here you have a black sphere filled with the demonic and dark clouds and hatred and sickness. Someone comes to you and wrongs you. People do this even to their own children, to their own family, to their colleagues, to their people around them, and annoys you. If you have fallen into the dual state, you will take that personal, because you will make it about an image inside you. And that's where you make things personal, and that's where you react with a negative reaction. People grab from that sphere with their anger and malice and throw it, even at their own children. If you were aware that you are pulling into these spiritual realms with the activity of the vibration of your emotion, you would choose that. I know it. You would choose that and throw that. You would be jovial and go, hey, actually this is a bit annoying. You wouldn't blow up and be angry and lower the vibration. And this is important. It's important. If you look, a human is vastly made up of water. This is how witchcraft works on people. A human is made up vastly of water. Look at the work of Masaru Emoto on the water freezing. He throws water particles under a microscope. After abusing it verbally with the intentions and the energies, and after speaking to it. The problem here will come if you look at water and see the word water, instead of experience the living entity of water that is among you. The living source of life, this entity, is not the word water. When he sent it love, it was beautiful, symmetrical, like a snowflake. When he sent it hatred, it was all blattered and disgusting and distorted. It was not pleasant in its structure. It didn't look beautiful in the same manner that the love and the peace and the healing did. That's inside your body and the body of your children. When you send anger at your child, you are physically disrupting the very structure of their being. The majority of the structure of their being, you are disrupting it. And you poison them. Beyond there, when you get angry at someone, you poison yourself. The anger's inside you. That person may not even receive your anger. They may be totally shielded from it. And so you poison yourself. It's like drinking poison and hoping it hurts the other person. The best thing to do is respond with love. You will get a better response. You may crack them and change their behavior. Respond from love. Be slow to anger. Beyond all of this, forgiveness. Again, the image you hold of yourself, that image will be slow to forgive because it feels wounded and hurt. If you can move into a space, which we all can, where you're free of that image, free of language, free of memory, which frees you from the image, forgiveness arises, as does love, unabated, untouched. It just naturally flows, and I have to forgive this person because they are as messed up as I am when I'm in my thinking mind, and they didn't maybe mean this. Or maybe something happened to them, whatever. But the forgiveness comes, and it often comes without any justification or reasoning. It just comes. If you move without forgiveness, if you move in that way, you are telling the human organism that you are that there are reasons not to love in this world, that there are reasons to retain love and keep it away. There are reasons not to fully walk in faith and allow the love of God that is expressed in the life of persons like Jesus to be the way you live. Spiritual warfare starts with protecting yourself. Removing things from people, it'll come. It will come. Because when you stay in the presence, when you stay in that white sphere, I said you can visualize, that white solid sphere of the presence of God, the alignment with the all. When you stay there, when you truly stay rooted in that space, your energy and vibratory field is so potent that it even has capacity to draw in these negative entities and transmute them back to the light, to take them away from those who suffer and send them or cast them away to another location, back to their dimension, where they toil, where they have the anxiety of losing out, of separation. The same anxiety that many humans live within today, sadly, because they are separated by the image that they have formed of themselves in their mind. That image carries wounds which lowers the vibration. That image separates you from presence, which makes you go into the world pleasure trap. And you match their vibration, and they hold you there as long as they can, as an energy source, as a food source. And so if you feel that when you sit down alone under a tree, you get anxious and you need to grab your phone and so on and so forth, you have to persist to get back to your alignment. It's uncomfortable, but God is with you, God loves you, the grace is with you always. But to get back to alignment, where you no longer have to be tormented by these beings, just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of push. And depending how far you've gone, that effort may last longer than others. I had to fast 40 days and 40 nights to escape that in my life, to get back to my alignment from how far away from it I had wandered. And beyond there, you have to understand that we are morally corrupted, and we don't acknowledge the spiritual law, not the fundamental religious law, of taking more than our share from reality, and how that misaligns us, and that misalignment is desired by these entities that are attacking people. It's desired by them, so they'll do everything to keep you away from it. They'll do everything to make you sad, do everything to separate you from presence. And so this is how you shield, in my life, from spiritual attacks. It is only through the presence, the power and the grace of God that we can be shielded. But this requires that we stay rooted in that presence, and that we stay as the human here and now, free of images, stories, free for that energy to shine in every direction from you, to the point where it chases these entities away, or eventually even consumes the darkness that they are. Jesus said, in his terms, in his language, back in his day, that those who believe will cast out demons and speak in a strange tongue. He was pointing at an arising, a crashing occurrence in consciousness and matter. I'm pointing at the same thing. I'm just trying to use my own language to point at it. My words are not it. The arising of energy, making humanity suffer and separate from its best version, is what both of us are pointing at, and I am pointing at today. And it can be conquered by centered, present alignment. If you can't sit still and feel the joy and wholeness of who you are, if you can't feel that presence of love of God within you, and your body, your organism is programmed, addicted to drag you off to your phone, to whatever else it might be. It's time to sit through that with a little discomfort, to come back to your wholeness and your alignment. And it will come, and it might be difficult, but the payoff is worth the battle. It is worth the discomfort to reach that space where you feel God's joy permanently, and you don't have to wrestle every single day with these addictions. They will come, you're human, but just not as frequently as those of us who live in anxiety, who live in the suffering, who live lost in the world, never really feeling their alignment with God and the presence. I'll do more on this topic, but for now, this is how you stay safe. There's only one way. God bless, guys. Be well.